Alrighty, I'm recording.
Cool.
Alright, well, first question, we'll talk about the new album. It's called Sword Song, and I've just been listening to it today. It's really awesome stuff. You talk a lot about, Vikings and warriors, and we're just wondering what was the inspiration for this album. Was there any particular period in history that, stands out for you?
Well, I mean, I guess, ever since we started this band, there's been quite a lot of focus on Norse mythology and that part of history that concerned the Viking era and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But there's also some other stuff on this album. For instance, the song Born for Battle is it's inspired by a French general during the 100 Years' War. He was called Bertrand de Guesclin, and so that's one, non-Viking thing. And there's also a track called Varangian, which is, it's connected to the Vikings, but it's about the Varangian Guard it's like Scandinavian Vikings that were hired by the Byzantine Empire or the Byzantine emperors back in the day to act like a bodyguard. So that's also based on history rather than myth.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool that I've always thought there's a real connection between heavy metal music and Viking and Norse mythology. And I'm just wondering, you think if the Vikings from 700 years ago, heard some Ronnie James Dio or heard some Grand Magus, do you think they'd dig it?
Wow. So I'm getting all kinds of weird images in my head now. It's very hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess they were, I don't even know. I guess no one really knows if there were any or what kind of music was around at that time. But I guess they were more interested in food and silver than music. That's just my guess.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just out of curiosity, have you guys toured Australia before?
No, we've never had a chance, actually.
Yeah. Any plans on it? Do you think you'll be down anytime soon?
Well, I mean, it's just how things have happened that we've never come. And I mean, really, when we started, we've been around for quite a long time. We started in '99, and back then it was just no one talked about even a remote chance of playing in Australia. People would have looked at you like you're crazy if you thought you were a Swedish band to play in Australia. But I mean, the last few years, a lot of our friends in other bands have gone there, and they've always been extremely positive about the experience. So, I mean, if we get a chance, we'll come, definitely.
Yeah. You just said you formed in 1999, but you also went by the name Smack from 1996 to 1999. I haven't listened to any of those songs yet. Was it pretty similar to what you're doing now, or is it a totally different band?
Well, there's nothing to listen to, really. And if you hear something, please ignore it.
Okay.
No, I mean, Smack was, me and the bass player, Fox, we were in Smack.
Yeah.
But that was something completely different. And then we changed the name into Grand Magus when we found our first drummer. So 99 was when we did the first Grand Magus demos and everything before that is just completely not connected to Grand Magus.
Okay, awesome. You're also the singer for Spiritual Beggars for about 8 years, and I really like their stuff, and it features Michael Ammett, who's a really cool guitarist. Firstly, what was that experience like playing with him? Did you have fun in those 8 years?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was a huge fan of the Beggars before I joined the band. So it was really an incredible, the whole thing, when we started Grand Magus and we got a record deal with Rise Above that was run by Lee Dorian from Cathedral. That was mind-boggling, and then I got the offer to join Spiritual Beggars, who were one of my favorite bands. So things were really happening back then. But I mean, we did 2, I think, great albums, and we did some really good touring. We went to Japan twice. Second time we were supporting Dio. And I mean, those are just memories for life,
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. I'd say if I had to pick an all-time favourite singer, it would probably be Ronnie James Dio. I love all his albums. Did you get to meet him personally? I'm just wondering, what was he like?
Yeah, like I said, we did the tour in 2005 in Japan with Dio. It was that was during it was Ronnie James Dio, Craig Goldie, Rudy Sarzo, Simon Wright on the drums, and the keyboard player, I think his name is Darren. We got to meet him. We had dinner, and we were hanging out and everything, and he was just, I mean, to me, such a legend is always difficult because you turn into this pile of mucus. But he was just totally a real gentleman, and really cool, and just super pro, and you have to pinch yourself a bit that this is actually happening, but it was a great experience and something I will treasure for the rest of my life. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Just wondering, when you first started getting into music, who would you say were the biggest bands that influenced you?
Well, I have 2 brothers that are a lot older than me, and they were into hard rock. So they were listening to Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper and stuff like that. So I got to hear that music from when I first can remember, like 4 years old. So I already had that with me, kind of. And then when I got into my own teens, I got into bands like Venom and Bathory and things like this. So I think, it's a combination of, I mean, old school hard rock, like Purple and stuff, and then, the classic metal bands like Judas Priest, Saxon, Accept, Manowar, and then you can add the kind of Viking stuff that Bathory were doing around Hammerheart and Twilight of the Gods. And then you have the Motorhead, the Venom, kind of the 3-piece, more like unwashed thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. When you listen to those old like Bathory albums, there's just a certain rawness, and you just, I don't know, it seems like bands can't reproduce that sort of sound these days. Do you think there was a time in metal that was special, and it's gone now, that it's harder to reproduce that sort of originality?
Well, I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? It's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of copy bands around today, but I guess it's always been like that. So I definitely think that there are a lot of bands that sound like other bands, and they do it really well, but I don't know. I just think that heavy metal will continue, and because heavy metal is more about, it's not just music. It's also about the emotional content and the way it makes you feel, and that that part of the music will never disappear. I mean, it's music that makes you feel powerful, and people are going to want that, you know.
Yeah, I know in Australia there are a lot of people that love metal, but it's still very far from being mainstream. Most normal people don't know about it. I know Sweden's got a lot, there's a lot more metal coming out of Sweden than there is Australia. I'm just wondering how well accepted is it over there? Is it, would you say, more mainstream or more accepted by society?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in general, I think that's a fair assessment because, I mean, there's not that many people in Sweden, and if you look at a percentage of the people in Sweden who play in bands and who play in metal bands, you end up with something ridiculous. I bet there's like 5% of the entire population plays heavy metal. So yeah, it's definitely you could say it's mainstream. That's not saying that. I mean, it's not like it's mainstream to be a hardcore Cannibal Corpse fan, but. There are a lot of very successful metal bands from Sweden, and I think that also accounts for the the general acceptance of the type of music.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands from Sweden, I'd have to say, is Opeth. And would you say that the climate of Sweden influences the music because it's cold over there and dark a lot of the time, and I know it kind of reflects that in the music a bit?
Yeah, I think so, and I also think that the weather here is there's a big part of the year where you can't really do anything else than being indoors, or being indoors a big part of the day at least because it's just dark, and so instead of if you live somewhere where you can hang out at the beach all day, it would take a huge amount of determination to go into a dark rehearsal room. But here, where there's not much else to do, I guess a lot of bands get their discipline that way that, we might as well go rehearse because there's nothing else to do,
Yeah, for sure. Oh. Anyway, that's all the questions I've written down. But it's been awesome talking with you, man, and I'm digging that album. I'm going to keep listening to it.
Cool, thanks. Have a lovely evening.
Okay, man, enjoy. And if you ever come down to Australia, man, I'll be up in the mosh pit, so I'll be looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Okay, man.
All right.
Have a good day.
Man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.